Hello and welcome to my Today in History channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesima. If you're a subscriber, thanks for your support. If you're a returning visitor, I appreciate you dropping by again. Why not subscribe so that you receive updates of my video uploads? If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel where I discuss events that occurred on this day in history with a view to informing, hopefully entertaining, and most importantly, learning lessons from positive events and mistakes of the past, and hopefully not repeating those mistakes. Because as the saying goes, history tends to repeat itself. So you see, that's why we need to guard against making the same mistakes. It's very important to learn from history. So guys, let's get cracking with today's important events as recorded in history on this day. First, we'll start with Mughal power. We're in India. First, we must roll back the blind. And the year is 1556. His name is Bayram Khān. He was victorious on this day at the Second Battle of Panipat. So that is Bayram Khān, who was victorious on this day in 1556. Okay, we move on now to the year 1605 and the infamous or the famous Gunpowder Plots, depending on how you see it. Celebrated with fireworks as Guy Fawkes Day. This English holiday marks the anniversary of the Gunpowder Plot, when Roman Catholics, led by Robert Catesby, tried to blow up Parliament, the king, and his family. So these are the plotters of the Gunpowder Plot, which didn't succeed. It's celebrated throughout the UK today as Guy Fawkes Night, where people go out and light huge bonfires. So Gunpowder Plot celebrated. First celebration happened on this day in 1605, and it's going to show you some more pictures. Gunpowder Plot, more pictures. Westminster in the middle here, and here it says Gunpowder Plot as a title, or a brief account of that blood is spelled bloody, and subtle spelled with an F, and then design is spelled with an F as well. So I'm going to read it. So a brief account of that bloody and subtle design laid against the king, his lords and commons in Parliament, and of a happy deliverance by divine power. So at the bottom of this text that I've just read is a picture in the middle of Westminster, and then on either side of this picture are two people kneeling down, a man and a woman, and praying. Okay, I can't quite read what's at the bottom. It's an old English, I can't remember what font it's called now, but yeah, it's barely readable, barely legible. But yeah, so that's what happened on this day. The Gunpowder Plot happened on this day, and it has been celebrated ever since in the United Kingdom. The fact that it did not succeed. Okay, 1836, we're in the United States, and the man pictured here is Theo Wright. He becomes the first black person to obtain a theology degree in the United States. His full name was Theodore Sedgwick Wright. He was born in 1797 and died at the age of 50 in 1847. He was an African-American abolitionist as well, and minister who was active in the New York City area, where he led the First Colored Presbyterian Church as its second pastor. He was the first African-American to attend Princeton Theological Seminary, from which he graduated in 1829. So not just Princeton Theological Seminary, also any United States Theological Seminary. So the first person to graduate from any United States Theological Seminary. In 1833, he became a founding member of the American Anti-Slavery Society. Interestingly, this Anti-Slavery Society was an interracial group that included Samuel Cornish, a black Presbyterian, and many Congregationalists, and served on its executive committee until 1840. So again, Theodore Sedgwick Wright, African-American abolitionist and minister, who on this day was ordained, became the first African-American to obtain a theology degree on this day. He wasn't ordained, he obtained his theology degree. Okay, let's move on to the year 1872. On this day, so that's another picture of Theodore Sedgwick Wright. So moving on to 1872, Susan B. Anthony, a leader in the American women's suffrage movement, cast a ballot in the presidential election and was later arrested for voting illegally and convicted in a trial she called the greatest outrage history ever witnessed. Okay, I'll show you some more pictures. So that's her about to be arrested. Horrible. And that's a book by N.E.H. Hall about the woman who dared to vote, the trial of Susan B. Anthony. I'll show you some more pictures. Here it says, is it a crime for a citizen of the United States to vote? Susan B. Anthony in a speech before her trial for voting in 1873. She and many others fought hard for the right to vote. Don't let it go to waste. How poignant. So it's 100 years after women were allowed to vote. I voted today because of women like her. So, ladies and gentlemen of the United States especially, do not forget what Susan B. Anthony did for all of you. Okay, let's move on to the year 1926. This was the day that Negro History Week started. It was initiated by Carter G. Woodson, who's pictured here. His full name was Carter Godwin Woodson. He was born on the 19th of December 1875 and died on the 3rd of April 1950 at the age of 74. He was an American historian, he was an author, a journalist, and the founder of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. He was one of the first scholars to study the history of the African diaspora, including African American history. A founder of the Journal of Negro History in 1916, Woodson has been called the father of Black history. In February 1926, he launched the celebration of Negro History Week, which is the precursor of Black History Month. So again, that's Carter G. Woodson, who initiated Negro History Week on this day in 1926. 1930, on this day, social critic Sinclair Lewis, pictured right here, won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He was the first American to receive such an honor. It was awarded for his vigorous and graphic art of description and his ability to create with wit and humor new types of characters. So here he's pictured on his typewriter, old-fashioned typewriter, churning away his wit and humor using words. So again, social critic Sinclair Lewis won the Nobel Prize for Literature on this day. And that's another picture of him here, a bit younger. Okay, let's move on now to the year 1940. 10 years later, the guy pictured right here, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was elected to an unprecedented third term as President of the United States. And there's a poster here with Uncle Sam at the top, and then the words Roosevelt elected for a third term, and then it says at the bottom, stay and finish the job. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt elected to an unprecedented third term as President of the United States of America. US presidents can only serve 2 terms now, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, don't remember any US president serving more than 2 terms. So I guess the law has changed. The Constitution has changed to allow for just 2 terms now. Okay, Shirley Chisholm, 28 years later, made history. She became the first Black woman elected to Congress, representing Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, New York. So it says here in this poster with a picture of her, it says, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." So I totally agree with Shirley Chisholm. First Black woman elected to Congress, representing Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, New York, on this day. Next we have George Brown, pictured here. He became the first Black lieutenant governor in the United States, and the state was Colorado. His full name is George Leslie Brown. Born July 1st, 1926. He died on the 31st of March 2006 at the age of 79. Was an American politician as well, served in the Colorado Senate from 1955 to 1974, and as a 40th Lieutenant Governor of Colorado from 1975 to 1979. He was also a Senior Vice President with Grumman Corporation. During World War II, he served as a Tuskegee Airman. Together with California's Mervyn DeMerle, he was one of the first 2 Black lieutenant governors since Reconstruction and outside any southern state. So George Brown, or George Leslie Brown for in full, became the first Black lieutenant governor on this day in 1974 in the U.S. state of Colorado. 1960. On this day, Tilda Swinton was born. Tilda is a Scottish actress. Full name, Catherine Matilda Swinton. Known for her roles in both independent art house films and blockbusters. She won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in the 2007 film Michael Clayton. She also won the BAFTA Scotland Award for Best Actress for the 2003 film Young Adam, and has received 3 Golden Globe Award nominations. So that is Catherine Matilda Swinton, or Tilda Swinton for short, Scottish actress born on this day in 1960. So happy birthday, Matilda Swinton. Last but not least, on this day, November 5th, 2013, India launched its first interplanetary spacecraft, the Mars Orbiter, pictured here in this illustration. It was an unmanned, or it is an unmanned spacecraft to Mars. So you can see the images of Earth in the distance, the spacecraft, and Mars, the planet Mars, the red planet, where it's the trajectory as well from Earth to Mars. Okay, so that was history as it happened today in 2013. India launched its first interplanetary spacecraft, the Mars Orbiter, an unmanned spacecraft. On that note, guys, we have come to the end of today's Today in History. Once again, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you dropping by. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, for another edition of Today in History. Thanks for dropping by. Take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.